After a grand total of 11 months following just 2 wins in his last 17 games, Jesse Marsch's reign as manager at Leeds United is over. Good night. The party's over indeed. It was a great ride. We all were on it together. We had some euphoric moments pulling for Jesse as not the first American manager in the Premier League, but the first really bona fide guy to have this kind of gig. It was groundbreaking. And whatever happens, no one can take that away. And Jesse Marsch should be very proud of what he was able to accomplish. We're very proud of what he was able to accomplish as well. It was peculiar, and we're going to break all of it down. The timing of it as to was it the right time? What is Leeds United trying to do? Why it didn't make a lot of sense in some circles. And then we will take a closer look at what it means for Jesse Marsch, what it means for the Americans at Leeds, and what does it mean for the coaching post at the US men's national team. This is what you call a loaded topic. There is a lot of meat on this bone. And we will break it all down here on the Soccer OG. Check out the Soccer OG podcast. Great new episode up there with Ben Jacobs of CBS Sports. We go down and discuss in detail the incredible shopping spree by Chelsea, what it means for them, what it means for the Premier League. Are we seeing the Premier League become a Super League? All that in there. Check it out. Great conversation. I'll talk a little bit about this topic as well. Check out my Soccer OG here on YouTube, my most recent video on Fuller and Balogun. Very interesting. Go give that a click. And like and subscribe us here. We appreciate the support. We're going to roll up our sleeves. Even though I don't have any sleeves, we're going to roll up our sleeves for this one. So, the details, this from the Leeds United front office. He has been relieved of his duties, Jesse Marsch. Jesse joined the club in February 2022. Instrumental in keeping the club in Premier League on the final day. René Marsch, Cameron Toshada, and Pierre Barrieu will also leave the club. I just saw Pierre at Costco like a year ago, and he got this gig. I'm disappointed for Pierre too. And what it does mean is Chris Armas stays on board, will remain as part of the caretaker group with Michael Scubala and Paco Gallardo. We don't know how long that's going to last. Leeds will probably look for a manager. And I believe that is what is part at play here. Everton just parted ways, got the new manager in Sean Dyche. They beat Arsenal. 3 points are so valuable in this relegation race. But maybe that's what Leeds were thinking. Maybe Jesse Marsch lost the team. Maybe they needed that good coaching rub, right? It happens. It happens all the time. And Leeds are desperate. They're a desperate team. Now, did he deserve to be fired? Well, yes. The numbers were brutal. I don't think he lost his team. And even the Nottingham Forest game, they played well. But it's the same story. Tons of possession. Can't get over the hump. Missing great opportunities. And dropping points. They were never really blown out. They were always competitive. They had some big wins. They won at Liverpool. They beat Chelsea 3-0. They drew at Newcastle. So they weren't afraid of anyone. But overall, Jesse Marsch, you can't argue this decision. Leeds have been very poor this season. There's a lot of reasons for it, but it's got to fall on the shoulders of the manager. I'm not shocked, and I'm not really critical of Leeds. But what I'm critical of them for is that you kept him here. You had this break. You allowed him to spend pretty generously. They spent 45 million, a record signing for Jorginho Rutter, who is going to be a big part in keeping Leeds alive. So you allowed him to do that. You allowed him to bring in Weston McKennie, who again, I don't know, man, he doesn't look right. I know he'll grow into this. Looks a little out of shape, and hopefully he can get in gear here because Leeds United will need him to. But you brought those in, and not to mention that you brought in Chris Armas. You have these American players. That is 100% because of Jesse Marsch. And this all happened in January, and now early February, you fire him. Or you relieve him of his duties, however you want to call it potato. So yes, it should have done it. Now, you're also setting up the next group to be in trouble because you have 2 games against Manchester United, one at their place, and then to Manchester United. I want to give credit to Ben Jacobs, who I talked on my podcast. We both agreed that he would probably get these 2 games. And whatever happened against Manchester United, like Jesse Marsch's chances, because he does well against the good teams. And even if he doesn't, he then has 2 games at the end of the month of February against Everton, at Everton, and then at home to Southampton. If they don't get results there, you ring the alarm bells. You're allowed to ring the alarm bells now. You're allowed to ring the alarm bells before the winter market, to be honest. So it's just an odd time to do it. In between this, it's just I did not expect to wake up Monday morning and hear this. I knew it was close. That game against Nottingham Forest felt like it could have been the last straw, but I just didn't think so. I mean, they just let them bring in all these players. So there's a lot of flaws with Jesse Marsch, and it's still a bit green. Again, I don't want to take anything away from what he accomplished here. He kept Leeds up on the final day. He had a team that fought hard. He didn't budge tactically, but a lot of coaches, really good coaches and managers, don't do that either. It's their way or the highway. I still think there's a lot to learn from them. And this has got to be a huge position to take, right? You're taking over a storied club. You're following Marcelo Bielsa, and maybe that has something to do with this as well. The absolute infatuation from Leeds for Marcelo Bielsa for what he was able to do when you remember Leeds were in the championship and laboring there for some time. So I think he deserved it. Maybe what kept him around a little bit longer, they had a nice run going in the FA Cup, which is really nice but not important. They've got to stay in the Premier League. They're in the round of 16 again in the FA Cup. But it's got to do well in the Premier League. There's so many teams packed there. They've got to separate it. The problem is there's so many other teams that I would think are better candidates to separate themselves. Nottingham Forest is one of them. They've kind of separated from that pack. West Ham would be another. Bournemouth, who are very active, to me now look like it could be another candidate to separate. Leeds do not hit me with that. And now they're out with Rodrigo, maybe their best player. Some guys are struggling. Patrick Bamford, a disaster. Brendan Aronson, I don't know if he's really going to play much anymore when you look at this squad. They need guys to step up, and I see it a better situation at West Ham, maybe even Everton. Maybe not Everton, but certainly at Bournemouth and certainly at Nottingham Forest. So now the Leeds fans obviously were very unhappy. This was one tweet that I saw. Get him out. Simple as that. How can anyone defend him? Awful tactics, awful football. Get out of the club. I could have done without that last sentence. We get it. It worked for enough, and now we're in a little bit of a panic mode. So let's talk about Leeds first, and what does this mean for them? Because we have an American angle here at play. We have something that's important to us, and that's that these American players stay in the Premier League. Brendan Aronson, Tyler Adams, Weston McKennie. I don't know if their chances are better of survival now that Jesse Marsch isn't there. I don't think they're going to be benched. Tyler Adams is an important player. Weston McKennie will become one. Brendan Aronson, I just don't know, but he has a chance to get back in better form, although his form really dipped here. They have Nonto, who's been good. Jack Harrison, Sinistera, who's been good enough. Ruter is going to play a lot. And then the back six with Roca and Tyler Adams and Weston McKennie probably slotting in there as well, maybe a little further up. I just don't know. I can't sit here and tell you, and I don't know how long Chris Armas is going to be. There's a short list for Leeds. Andoni Iraola, who's at Rayo Vallecano, who I think are in 5th place in La Liga right now. So he is a hot commodity. Can't wait on him. West Brom, Carlos Corberán is another one on that list, and he coaches Daryl Dike in the championship. West Brom have been both those guys seem like really good candidates, and Leeds United will be active in getting it. So I don't know what that means for Chris Armas. It's probably not going to end well for him. He's not going to end up at Leeds. The American players What will that next manager do with them? Again, Adams is pretty untouchable with the players they have there, and McKinney is too good. But he is going to need these guys to put up their hand. And again, I just don't know if it's going to be enough. So there's still a lot at stake here, right? We need these American players there. We need more players in the Premier League. The Premier League is becoming this Super League. So the more the better. If Leeds get relegated with these three guys, no bueno. It's already bad. Jesse Marsch is gone. So now what's next for Jesse? Well, probably takes a little time off. I mean, he wants to get back in there. Now, this is the reality. He had a job he did Red Bull Salzburg. He had a great team, got them into the Champions League. Remember, Erling Haaland was on that team. And then he went to Leipzig, didn't last a year there, and then he doesn't even last a year here at Leeds. So while that could be construed as a bit of a black mark, I think getting experience at these two clubs keeps Jesse Marsch buoyant when it comes to coaching in Europe. Maybe not in the Premier League, maybe not in the Bundesliga, maybe in the Bundesliga, and certainly elsewhere. And now we look at the situation with the U.S. men's national team, and we would say to ourselves, it's perfect. There's an opening here. He's available. He is the most high-profile American manager right now. There's no doubt about it after coaching Leipzig and Leeds. I would be cautious, though, because U.S. Soccer, and by the way, they're not going to make an announcement for a coach anytime soon. Cindy Parlow-Cohn made it abundantly clear. They're going to fill the sporting director first. Remember, no sporting director, no general manager, no, and whether there's two jobs there or one job, and then there's no coach. Sporting director will hire, or general manager will hire the coach. She said they're not doing that until June before the Women's World Cup. So that means we have to wait 4 months at least for that. But I don't think U.S. Soccer should rush into it. And just because Jesse Marsch is available and it seems perfect timing, that's not a reason to hire him, that it's perfect and ideal. You definitely interview him, but you look all around. Would I like him there? I think I would. It depends what we're looking at. You've got to be, this is a huge decision. And Jesse Marsch does have big European experience that we've never seen with U.S. Soccer. Even Jurgen Klinsmann didn't have that quite of a pedigree. He was new to coaching. He coached some national teams. Didn't do great on the club. Not that Jesse did, but still, this is a really bona fide candidate. I'd still like them to do their due diligence, and U.S. Soccer is going to do the due diligence. So there it is. So don't get impatient. I've been looking on Twitter. Some people go, hire Jesse, and others go, no, we want someone else, whoever that person might be. So he is going to get a good post somewhere, and it very well might be the U.S. men's national team, but it's not going to be right now. This whole Manchester City situation, people are thinking, hey, maybe we get Pep Guardiola. Maybe he wants it. And I, again, say this crystal clear. While working for U.S. Soccer and living in Chicago and yada, 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 may not seem like the dream job for high-profile coaches like this. What does make it a high-profile situation is you will be, if you're a bit of a romantic, and I think some of these coaches are, the figure in charge of a national team heading into a World Cup that they will host that we believe, on all accounts, is going to change the sport forever in the United States. I know for a fact. Now, a lot of that depends on how the U.S. perform. But this is certainly a position that will be very, I think, competitive. But certainly, Jesse Marsch will be part of that as well. We just have to see. If not, I wish him certainly the best. But there is certainly a lot at play here. Again, didn't make sense. The timing was right. He deserved to be fired. A coach we take him being American out. Any other coach with that kind of track record, with that win percentage, usually loses his job about this time, but not right after they said, hey, here's a bunch of money, go spend it. And Jesse Marsch did, and now he'll have to watch. And he's learned a lot of things. He will learn a lot of things. He was a fish out of water. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. And we've heard about some crazy things that he made the players do. And I saw the interviews, and he spoke too much. and he was a little too rah-rah, and I'm like, yeah, a little less is more, Jesse. And maybe he'll learn that the next time. But he's had this experience. On all accounts, the club loved him till the very end because it's a results-driven business. The players loved him, and the supporters did to a point. And I don't think it was a complete just revolt by the supporters towards Jesse Marsch, but there was a vocal amount, and now they're here. All these, they just want survival, right? They want to, hey, Sean Deitch. What do they get? Big Sam Allardyce? They're not going to get him. So again, I want to say, Jesse, I know very well. I was hoping to see a Leeds game with him in charge. I know there'll be another opportunity. He's a good dude, and he has done incredibly to get to this point. And whatever happens, he has opened the door for other coaches. More Americans will find their way to the top European leagues. This was quite the ride. The Soccer OG. Check out the Soccer OG podcast. All podcasts are available. New one with Ben Jacobs out right now. Check out the Soccer OG here on YouTube under my name, Max Bretos. We will see you. I don't know when I'm going to see you. I might see you tomorrow because this U.S. soccer news train just doesn't stop pumping. That didn't make any sense. But you get the gist of it.